My name is Adam Cox. I'm a phobia expert, also known as the Phobia Guru, based on my track record of helping people eliminate phobias in just a single session. Now, mycophobia is the fear of fungus. Some people will use this term mycophobia to also apply to the fear of mould, as in the kind of mould that you might get in damp places, bathrooms, for example, or damp buildings. But mycophobia itself is the fear of fungus. Now, the fungus itself could be, let's say, plant-based fungus, such as mushrooms, toadstools. And the thing that makes mold similar to a form of fungus is the fact that it is based around spores. Okay, so it's actually a fungal infection. That's what mold is. And that's what means mycophobia can also apply to the fear of mold. Interestingly, though, those people that have a fear of mold itself, rather than fungus such as toadstools and mushrooms, tend to have attributes more closely similar to mycophobia, which is the fear of germs. But in both cases, fear of fungus, fear of mold, there is an overall perception of danger. And in storybooks quite often that children read, there are stories told of toadstools being poisonous, for example, or certain mushrooms being poisonous and therefore deadly. And this thought can enter the mind of a child and create a severe reaction at around toadstools, mushrooms, or even mold, once they figure out that mold is actually a form of fungus. It could also be a learned behavior. If, for example, you have a parent that has an extreme reaction, a panic anxiety reaction around seeing mold and is constantly spraying it with bleach and cleaning it and things like that, if a child sees that, then they get an overall perception that mold or fungus is dangerous and therefore is something to be avoided. Now, this tends to be the very foundation of a phobia, this extreme irrational fear of mold or fungus. Key thing is that people who have this particular fear or phobia, they avoid places where you might find such things. Now, fungus tend to operate best in damp and dark places. So someone that has a particular stimulus such as toadstools or mushrooms, for example, might avoid forests and damp parts of woods, for example, because that's where toadstools and mushrooms are more likely to be. If someone has a fear of mold, then they are going to be very, very vigilant at going into bathrooms. They will constantly check the corners, constantly check the ceiling, particularly for black mold, which tends to be, or at least have a perception of being dangerous. Now, for someone that has mycophobia, once they are told or have learnt that the fungus is airborne, which black mold is, then they have this kind of belief or perception that they might be breathing in the spores of the mold, or the spores might be infecting their eyes. Overall, it's a very anxious reaction based on the visualization that happens unconsciously in their imagination based on the stimulus that they see. So for someone with mycophobia, they will avoid going into dirty or damp bathrooms, particularly if they're visiting people. It can become a reaction for people staying in particular, let's say hostels or let's say lower budget hotels, where in older buildings, there's more likely to be attributes such as mold, and fungal kind of perceptions. They will also be very vigilant in terms of the smell. Mold has a very distinctive smell. So for someone that has mycophobia, they will be not only paying attention to the look of any kind of damp or perceptions or possibilities of black mold, but they are also going to have a very specific smell, and they're going to be trying to detect that smell of mold to see if they should be avoiding that particular space. For people that have mycophobia, they tend to be very sanitary. They tend to have a compulsion to clean, particularly for damp areas. and they're more likely to invest in dehumidifiers that ensure that environments are very dry, and that takes out the possibility for mold in certain environments. Key thing with mycophobia is that it is a relatively straightforward phobia to eliminate. Although it feels very intense and it can cause panic attacks, just know that it is not a permanent fear. You don't have to keep having this fear. And many people that have worked with me with mycophobia, we've eliminated that fear in just a single session. Now, that could be one-on-one in my clinic in Harley Street or via Skype sessions. And for other people, they might download my 7-day course. So a combination of videos and downloads means that they can just get over this particular fear. If you are interested in more information on mycophobia, the fear of mold, the fear of fungus, then check out my website, phobiaguru.com, where I've actually created a free video on why people have fears, what phobias are, and how they can be eliminated. That's normally priced at £30, English pounds, or $40 US, but is currently available free at phobiaguru.com. You just have to put your name and email, and then you'll get a link to that video absolutely free of charge. So I really hope this video has been useful for you.